The story of Scripture begins, as you know, with the book of Genesis and the story of creation. It's here we read of God speaking light and sky and land into being. It's here we read of God calling all of creation good, and it's here we learn our origin story. In Genesis, we read of God gathering up some dust and breathing life into molded dirt and bringing about Adam, and later taking a rib from that same man and using it to form woman. And this is the beginning of Adam and Eve. It is the beginning of each of us. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, we read, God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness." This is the basis for the theological concept Imago Dei, which is simply Latin for image of God. In this theological concept lies our understanding of the inherent worth of all humans. We are each made in God's own image. This has been a difficult concept for humans to accept. Most of us are more than willing to believe we are made in the image of God, but we tend to take exception to the fact that everyone else is too. Or rather, we tend to create hierarchies and systems that categorize people. We often fool ourselves into believing that some people must be more accurate bearers of God's image than others. We too often tell ourselves and the people most like us that we are made in the image of God, but we stop short of believing, or believing enough to have it shape the way we live, that everyone else is made in God's image too. Rather than taking delight in the abundance of diversity and language and beauty, we are prone to use those differences to draw lines and borders. We make assumptions. We forget the fundamental truth of Imago Dei, image of God. This reality is part of our history and our present. It does not escape me that today is June 19th, a holiday known as Juneteenth, which marks the day over 2 years after Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, that enslaved people in Texas learned they had been declared free. We have a long history of using diversity not as an indicator of the breadth of God, but as a means to oppress and demean. But this behavior does not align with what we believe. What we believe as beloved people of God is Imago Dei. This truth is one of the first things our scriptures make clear. We are all, every single one of us, made in the image of God. How beautiful God must be. It is this understanding, this concept of Imago Dei, that's been part of our theology long before any of us were capable of thought. That's the grounding for our understanding of love of neighbor. It's Imago Dei, an understanding incarnate in Jesus' treatment of the people around him, that centers our understanding of our shared call to work toward justice for all, to work toward what is good for others. We treat and believe that the people around us are made in the image of God. This framework on its own teaches us every life is one of profound dignity and worth. If you do not understand the need to work for justice, or why this work is essential to the life of the church, or if you are tired from doing work that seems to never move us forward, I invite you to start here with Imago Dei. Spend time resting in the truth that you and every single person you encounter is made in the image of God. What a wild thing to believe and experience as true. What a wonderful delight to be more and more aware of just how big and expansive and lovely God is. What a holy invitation to be given life by the breath of God in this time and place, and to, in that life, be called to believe and interact with others out of the belief that every single person we meet is made in the image of God. Imago Dei. Imago Dei indeed.